Hi, I'm here to demonstrate running an independent t-test in SPSS as well as in Intellectus. I'm going to go ahead and get started with SPSS. The first thing I need to do is check the assumptions and make sure the data meet the assumptions. So in order to do that, I need to check for normality, and then I also need to check for homogeneity. So I have to identify normality plots with tests. And then for homogeneity, that is just run within the t-test. So I have to go in and compare my means and say independent sample t-test. I move my dependent and independent variables over, and I have to define my groups. And I know that my 0 is male and my 1 is my female. Okay. So once I've done those things and run the analysis, I have to go back and I have to actually draft my results. So I'm going to go over to my Word document and say normality was assessed with a Shapiro-Wilk test. The results of the test were significant. And then I have to actually report my results, keeping in mind that they do need to be reported in APA format. So that means italices and the correct spacing and everything else that goes along with that, indicating that it is likely this sample was from a normal distribution. And then in a lot of cases, you may need to even cite that. So you would have to go out and find a reference. The next assumption we looked at was homogeneity of variance or equality of variance. Let's see. So equality of variance was assessed with Levine's test. The results of the test were significant. And then again, I have to make sure I report it in APA. So it looks like my F equals 24. My P is less than 0.001. And then we're going to go ahead and say indicating the assumption of equality of variance was violated. And then we have to know what we even do from there when we have this violation. So because of the violation, Welch's T statistic is reported. Okay, and then I have to actually report the results of the t-test. So the result of the t-test was significant. I need to present my degrees of freedom, which looks like 32.70 equals negative 13.73. Let's see, P is less than 0.001, comma, indicating there were differences in the mean scores at time 1. And then I have to go and look at the means to see what differences actually existed. So at time 1, females, and then I need the mean score there, is 6.49. I should also present the standard deviation. Oops. 1.29 scored statistically higher than males. And then again, everything according to APA, so that mean equals 3.13, and that standard deviation equals 0.55. Then the other thing with using SPSS is you also typically will want to report Cohen's d because it is part of the APA formatted table, but it's not actually information that is presented with SPSS. So you have to go into, you could do something like this with a web-based calculator, or you can actually get out the formula and calculate the values. And then let me just double check my sample sizes in my output. So 32 and 25. So back to this, group 1, 32, 25. I don't know if that's actually correct. I might have gotten those backwards, but that's okay, you get the point. Okay, so then Cohen's d is 3.38 according to this. So I would say Cohen's d equals 3.38, indicating larger than typical effect sizes. Results of the t-test can be found in table 1, and then I actually have to present table 1. T-test for differences in time 1 by gender. And then again, all of this is APA too, so don't forget that you have to know the APA formatting of tables as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a table. I'm doing insert table. I need it to be 3 lines, and I'm not quite sure how many columns, but that's where we're going to start, and we'll just build it out and see what happens. So this is my variable. These two, I'm going to want to merge. I also want to merge these. I need to pull my data back up, and this is a lot harder too. I have 2 screens here. So if you only have 1 screen, that makes it harder too. Female, male. Okay, this is going to be my mean. This is going to be my standard deviation, my mean, my standard deviation, my t, my p, and then we have Cohen's d. And so I still have to report all of these values, so 6.49, 1.29, 3.13, This should, according to APA, actually be 0.55. My t is minus 13.73. My p is 0.001, and then Cohen's d, we had 3.38. I don't know if that's actually correct. I could have done those values wrong. Then we want to fit the table. So we want to auto fit to window. Then we auto fit to contents. Auto fit from there to window. And then we want to, it looks pretty much the same as it was. We want to center these things. We should probably center these too. And then the other thing is the formatting of the table. So we have to go back to our table, and there are only certain lines that we want. Oh, but that was one that we did want. Okay, we don't want right borders. We don't want left borders. We don't want any inside borders, except for here and here. We would like a bottom border, and then all the way across here, we may want a bottom border, and then I want to label my dependent variable as time1. Okay, so we have all of this, and then we also have to keep in mind that there are specific fonts that we can use and font sizes. So once we have that done, we have to change that. And then the other thing is everything needs to be double spaced. So we want to change the spacing as well. And now we have a t-test write-up. Okay, next I am going to use Intellectus Statistics to conduct a t-test. So here we are, I have a data set here, same data set that we had in SPSS. It's the exercise project, here's the information. And I'm gonna go ahead and jump to analyses. So I would like to do a t-test, and I'm gonna do an independent sample t-test. I have to identify my dependent variable, which is time1, and confirm. And then identify my independent variable, which is gender, and confirm. And from there, I would like to calculate my t-test, making sure to check the assumptions. So here's my output. It has information on the Shapiro-Wilk, saying that normality is violated, information on homogeneity of variance, indicating that the assumption of homogeneity of variance was violated, goes on to state that Welch's t-test was used instead of the student's t because of the unequal variances and the unequal sample sizes, and that the result of the t-test is significant. And then it also goes on to state that females scored higher than males at time1. You have the table formatted to APA, and then you also have the corresponding figure. And then because of the violation of the assumptions in the previous test, it does also automatically conduct the Mann-Whitney U-test, which is the non-parametric equivalent of the independent sample t-test.